This is how South Park believes organized religion works. Religion is one thing this show has never been afraid to tackle. If there's a sacred cow to slaughter, South Park has probably butchered it.
Muhammad!
There's a saying, namaste. It means, fuck you, I have anxiety.
Well, fine, go ahead and sue me.
I will! I'll sue you in England!
Or is currently sharpening the knife. Some of their jokes have sparked such massive controversy, they've led to death threats, network censorship, and even caused Isaac Hayes to quit the show. So today, we're looking at South Park versus every religion. South Park versus Mormonism. In the episode all about Mormons, a new family moves to South Park from Utah.
We have a new student joining us today who has just moved here from Utah. I want you all to say hi to Gary.
And Stan quickly befriends Gary Harrison, the new kid. But things get weird fast when Stan goes over for dinner and discovers the Harrisons are Mormon.
Book of Mormon, what's that?
You know, the book that Joseph Smith found.
Who's Joseph Smith?
Only the most
Gary's father proceeds to tell Stan the entire origin story of Mormonism, complete with Joseph Smith finding golden plates. And South Park doesn't hold back. They show the whole thing. Joseph being visited by the angel Moroni, translating the plates with a magic seer stone, and being told that Native Americans are actually cursed white people whose skin turned red as punishment from God.
A Native American? But your skin is white.
Yes, long ago all Native Americans were white. We all came to America from Jerusalem.
The best part? Throughout the entire flashback, the words dum 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 appear on screen like a chorus mocking the story. It's South Park's way of saying, yeah, this is what they actually believe.
Dum 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 dum. Many people believe Joseph. Dum 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 dum.
Stan is completely baffled by the story. He tells Gary that Joseph Smith was obviously a con man. But here's where South Park does something unexpected. At the end of the episode, Gary confronts Stan and the others, pointing out that even if the religion seems ridiculous, his family is happy, loving, and functional. It was one of the rare moments where South Park almost seemed balanced.
Look, maybe us Mormons do believe in crazy stories that make absolutely no sense. And maybe Joseph Smith did make it all up. But I have a great life and a great family, and I have the Book of Mormon to thank for that.
But don't worry, they still made sure everyone knew they thought the religion was absurd. South Park versus Scientology. But if you think the Mormons had it rough, wait until you see what South Park did to Scientology. In Trapped in the Closet, Stan takes a free personality test from Scientologists on the street. After paying $240 with money he'd been saving for a bike, Stan's thetan levels are measured. The result? Stan has the highest thetan reading they've ever seen.
Sir, how can it be that a first-timer scores that kind of thetan level? He registered OT9.
So high, in fact, that the Church of Scientology declares him to be the reincarnation of L. Ron Hubbard himself. They take him to their headquarters, and the president of Scientology privately tells Stan the story of Xenu, the galactic overlord who brought billions of aliens to Earth 75 million years ago and blew them up with hydrogen bombs and volcanoes.
Dump them into the volcanoes of Hawaii.
And just like the Mormon episode, South Park displays the text, "This is what Scientologists actually believe" on screen during the entire explanation. But the episode doesn't stop there. Tom Cruise shows up, and after being criticized by Stan, literally locks himself in a closet and refuses to come out.
Is it the prophet? Ah!
Hey! Dude, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
Go away!
The rest of the episode consists of various characters begging, "Tom Cruise, come out of the closet!" This episode was so controversial that it reportedly led Isaac Hayes, who voiced Chef and was a Scientologist, to quit the show. And when Comedy Central tried to pull the episode from rebroadcast, Trey Parker and Matt Stone fought back, even crediting themselves as John Smith and Jane Smith in the closing credits as a jab at the church's reputation for lawsuits. At the end of the episode, Stan looks directly at the camera and says, "Go ahead and sue me."
Well, fine, go ahead and sue me.
I will! I'll sue you in England!
South Park wasn't playing around. South Park versus Catholicism. When it comes to Catholicism, South Park has gone nuclear multiple times. The most infamous example is Red Hot Catholic Love, which aired right in the middle of the Catholic Church's child molestation scandals. The episode opens with parents in South Park refusing to let their kids go on a Catholic retreat because they're terrified of priests.
Look, I just don't think it's the best idea to let our boys go on a cruise with the priest.
We can't let them go, can we?
Father Maxey, the town's priest, and apparently the only one who doesn't molest children, is confused about why everyone is suddenly upset. Meanwhile, the kids are being questioned by counselors who ask, "Did Father Maxey ever try to put anything in your butt?" The boys, completely innocent and confused, misinterpret the question entirely. Cartman theorizes that you could eat food through your rectum and defecate through your mouth. And because this is South Park, he actually proves it's possible. But the real controversy comes when Father Maxey travels to the Vatican to demand they change church law to prohibit priests from molesting children. When he gets there, he discovers that not only do the priests not see anything wrong with what they're doing, but the Vatican is secretly controlled by a giant queen spider from another dimension. Yeah, you read that right. A giant spider.
The Holy One! Behold, the great Queen Spider!
Father Maxey tears up the holy document of Vatican law, causing St. Peter's Basilica to crumble, and declares he's starting a new Catholic church, one that actually follows what Jesus taught. This episode was so controversial that it was ranked as one of South Park's Dirty Dozen and selected as number 1, 2 on the 10 South Parks that changed the world list. But South Park wasn't done with Catholics yet. In Bloody Mary, they went after the Virgin Mary herself. The episode revolves around a statue of the Virgin Mary that starts bleeding, and people declare it a miracle.
Well, we just heard that this miracle was happening and we wanted to see it for ourselves and come and pray.
Pope Benedict XVI shows up to investigate and concludes that the statue isn't bleeding, it's menstruating. The Catholic League for Religious and Civil Rights went ballistic. They demanded Viacom issue an apology and permanently retire the episode. Even Joseph Califano Jr., a Viacom board member and practicing Catholic, called it appalling and disgusting. The timing made it worse. The episode aired the day before the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, one of the holiest days in the Catholic calendar.
After witnessing the phenomenon firsthand, the Pope then cleaned himself off and then declared that the Bleeding Virgin Mary statue is not a miracle.
South Park knew exactly what they were doing. South Park versus Judaism. Now, Judaism holds a special place in South Park because Kyle, one of the 4 main characters, is Jewish. This means the show has been making Jewish jokes since literally the first episode. One of the most memorable Jewish-focused episodes is Jubilee, where Kyle and his brother Ike attend a Jewish scout camp. Kenny tags along even though he's not Jewish, so on the car ride there, Kyle's parents give him Judaism 101.
Abraham begat Isaac, who the Lord then said to kill. But that was just a little silly trick to see if Abraham would do it.
At the camp, the scouts are supposed to deliver macaroni pictures and popcorn necklaces to Moses, who, in typical South Park fashion, is portrayed as a giant floating dreidel. Things go horribly wrong when an elder from the anti-Semitic Jews sect tries to overthrow Moses and worship Haman instead. But beyond dedicated episodes, the show constantly leans into Jewish stereotypes through Cartman's character. In 2 Days Before the Day After Tomorrow, Cartman forces Kyle to give him his Jew gold, claiming that all Jews carry fake bags of gold around their necks to protect the real bags of gold.
I know that all Jews carry fake bags of gold around their necks to keep the real bags of gold around their necks safe. Hand over the real Jew gold, Cap!
And Kyle actually does have it. Then there's Kyle's cousin, also named Kyle, who shows up in The Entity as the most stereotypical, nerdy, nasally Jewish kid imaginable. Kyle is so embarrassed that he actually pays Cartman $40 not to make fun of his cousin. The most controversial Jewish episode is probably The Passion of the Jew, which centers on Mel Gibson's film The Passion of the Christ. Cartman is thrilled because he thinks the movie validates all his anti-Semitic beliefs. Meanwhile, Kyle sees the movie and actually starts to believe Jews should apologize for the crucifixion.
Dude, that movie sucked. How do they even call that a movie? That's bullcrap, dude. Let's go get our money back.
Cartman starts a fan club for the movie that gradually turns into a full-blown neo-Nazi movement. And when Mel Gibson shows up in person, everyone realizes he's just completely insane and shouldn't be taken seriously. South Park versus Islam. When it comes to Islam, South Park has a complicated history. In 2001, they aired Super Best Friends, an episode featuring Muhammad as part of a superhero team alongside Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, and other religious figures. The episode aired without any controversy whatsoever. But that was before September 11th. Years later, when South Park tried to show Muhammad again in the two-part Cartoon Wars episodes, everything had changed. The episodes were inspired by the real-life controversy over Danish cartoons depicting Muhammad. In the story, South Park is in a panic because Family Guy is about to air an episode featuring Muhammad. Everyone hides in the community center, terrified of terrorist attacks. Kyle argues that refusing to show Muhammad would be giving in to violence and fear. But Comedy Central refused to let South Park show the image. Instead, they covered Muhammad with a giant, censored box.
Muhammad!
Trey Parker and Matt Stone were furious. They even had Kyle give an impassioned speech to the Fox president, calling him Doug as a reference to Comedy Central executive Doug Herzog, about why censoring out of fear was wrong. The irony? Super Best Friends, which featured an uncensored image of Muhammad, had been airing in reruns for years without issue.
With the powers of invisibility, Muhammad, the Muslim prophet with the powers of flame.
But after the controversy, even that episode was pulled. Then came the 201 episode, where South Park tried once again to show Muhammad. This time, a radical Islamic group called Revolution Muslim posted a warning on their website, saying that Parker and Stone could face consequences similar to Theo Van Gogh, a filmmaker who was murdered by an Islamic extremist in 2004. Comedy Central censored the episode so heavily that every mention of Muhammad's name was bleeped out, and the character was hidden behind a censored graphic.
Doctor, this is we want you to clone him so we can give his copies to Ginger's and Barbra Streisand.
South Park had finally found the one religion they couldn't fully mock. Not because they didn't want to, but because the network physically wouldn't let them. South Park versus Hinduism and Buddhism. South Park's treatment of Hinduism mostly comes through Krishna's appearances in Super Best Friends.
Oh my god. What? If he gets tax-exempt status, then he'll become a real religion.
He would become unstoppable.
Krishna is portrayed as a shape-shifting Hindu deity superhero who famously transformed into Neil Diamond to pacify Mecca Streisand. It's absurd, but relatively tame by South Park standards. Buddhism gets a different treatment in the episode Buddha Box, where Cartman discovers a cardboard box you wear over your head to combat anxiety.
Now you can have it with Buddha Box. Simply fit the patented box on your head and set its Bluetooth to your mobile device.
The box is marketed with Buddhist imagery and concepts. By the end of the episode, Cartman has an epiphany about anxiety being an epidemic and keeps saying Namaste, which he incorrectly interprets as F you, I have anxiety.
There's a saying, Namaste. It means, fuck you, I have anxiety.
The pattern. So here's what's clear. South Park doesn't discriminate when it comes to religion. They've gone after Mormons, Scientologists, Catholics, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists with equal opportunity offense. The difference is in how far they're allowed to go. With Christianity and Judaism, they can show anything. With Islam, they hit a wall. Literally, a wall of censorship boxes. With Scientology, they got a voice actor to quit. With Catholicism, they got demands for apologies from religious organizations. But through it all, Trey Parker and Matt Stone have maintained that nothing should be off-limits for satire. Their philosophy is simple. Either everything is okay to mock, or nothing is. And based on over 25 years of episodes, South Park clearly chose everything. Check out the next video to see even more controversial moments from South Park that sparked international incidents and changed television forever.